sometimes when I do that auditing, I come up with some red flags, some concerns.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast.
Minisode.
Hey everybody, just got out of a very challenging, hard, stressful meeting with one of my employees. I want to talk to you about it after I remind you, of course, we are sponsored by ANow Software. ANow is the ability for me to find out what's going on in my office so I can have these hard meetings. It manages my entire appraisal office. It can with you as well. Go to anow.com/coach for more information. Once again, it's anow.com/coach. Well, folks, I just had what I call a kneecap to kneecap meeting with one of my key employees. This is an individual who's been with me for a while. I love her to death. She's wonderful in so many ways. But I do what I call auditing in my office. Auditing basically looks like this. Those of you who've taken my Go Create Some Value workshop, you will know that auditing is different than quality control. They're both under the same umbrella, that umbrella of making sure that our quality is high, that we are a highly efficient and effective and high quality appraisal office. But with that comes making sure that we stay on top. And quality control is 100%. In other words, when I talk about in my office, when I use the term quality control, I'm talking about something that I do on every single thing. For example, I quality control 100% of my appraisal reports. Anything that has my name on it goes through me. It never goes out of the office. I don't care how late it is without me going through it with a fine-tooth comb, and it's not something that I rush through even when I'm in a hurry. That's quality control. Auditing, on the other hand, I've talked about it before on this podcast, but auditing has to do with spot checking. Okay, I call it auditing because look at it much the way the IRS does your taxes. You don't plan on everything in your taxes getting audited, but you try to be honest just in case you are audited. I think the statistics out there about 3%. Everything audits as far as IRS taxes go, the auditing usually sits around 3%. At least that's what I Google. I do about 10% auditing in my office. And no, I'm not talking about taxes. I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about phone calls. We record every phone call, both incoming and outgoing. Yes, it is legal in Idaho. And we spot check them. I spot check them. I make sure that my employees are being nice, that they're talking kindly, that they are doing what I've trained them to do. I audit 10% of my emails, making sure that my clients are getting the white glove treatment, making sure that we are answering their questions and doing it in a kind manner. I even audit the bathroom cleaning. I make sure that 10% of the time I check and make sure that everything is cleaned in the bathroom the way that it should be. I audit about, give or take, 10% of everything that goes on in my office. And sometimes when I do that auditing, I come up with some red flags, some concerns. And with this particular employee that I sat down with today, there were some concerns. There were some red flags. Sometimes, folks, I can't pinpoint it. Sometimes it's not a matter of black and white. When you're dealing with people, you're dealing with a lot of gray. You're dealing with a lot of shades of color in between the black and white. And sometimes you need to be okay with that you govern from the margins, if you will. It's not always a cut and dried, okay, this is a problem that we need to deal with. Now, sometimes it is, but sometimes it is not. Sometimes it's just those little spidey senses on the back of your head or the back of your neck that says, there's a problem here, or there's a potential problem here. And how do you handle that? Well, I'll tell you how I handled it today when we get back from the break. First, I want to remind you that we are sponsored, of course, by ANow Software. ANow is your total appraisal management software program. Now, I've said that before here on this program. What does it mean? I've been asked the question, what does that mean, Dustin? What does it mean that you're a total appraisal management software? Well, really, there's two aspects to this. Number one, I'm able to keep track of each and every single order because there is an assembly line of tasks that need to be done on each and every order. And ANow keeps track of that. At any moment, A client can pick up the phone and call us and say, where are you at with this order? And within seconds, we can answer them because all we have to do is start typing the name or the address and it pops up and there are notes and there is a system on Now that shows us exactly where we're at. Oh, the inspection was done yesterday and the appraiser is currently working on adjustments. We know exactly what is going on with that report at all times. And the second is my business at a snapshot. The analytics tab allows me to know exactly what's going on with my appraisal business and allows me to be a business owner. That's Now software. If you're not using it, you should be. I don't care if you're a single man office or a multiple person office. It's anow.com/coach for more information. Once more, anow.com/coach. And we're back, folks. We're talking about we're talking about problems. When you're dealing with human resources, when you're dealing with the law of delegation, you run into this problem of people. Now, I'm not saying people are a problem. I'm saying that people have problems. And if you're going to employ people to help and assist in your office, you're going to run into problems. And I just had what I call a kneecap to kneecap. Yeah, it's as scary as it sounds. Meeting with one of my employees. And this is a great employee, a wonderful employee. I would say 99% of everything she does is on the up and up. And I told her that. I was, complimentary and specific on some things that she had been doing lately that I was very, very happy with. And I let her know that. And I said, I want you to know that you're a key employee, that I appreciate all that you do, but I have some concerns. And I told her where I got these concerns. I said, I've been auditing the email and I've been auditing the phone calls and I've been auditing through other sources. By the way, I do have a camera with audio in my office. Yes, I highly recommend that. And I'm able to know what's going on in my office. Even though I'm not physically there a lot of time, I can physically know what's going on there through technology. And, I audit and I find out what's going on, what's being said and what's being done, what's not being done. One of the concerns, and I'm not going to go into detail here for confidentiality's sake, but I will say that it was not just one thing. It was a multitude of questionable things that came up. And again, nothing that I could pinpoint and say, there is a problem here, right? This is a problem. What it was instead was a multitude of possible problems. And you know what they say, where there's smoke, there's fire. And that's kind of the feeling that I had. Now, it's very easy because I'm a person of harmony. One of my biggest drivers in the Myers-Briggs area of things, if you're familiar with those personality profiles, one of my biggest drivers, the biggest driver in my mind is harmony. I like harmony. I hate discomfort. I hate contention. I hate this buzz in the air that something's wrong. Okay. But that's all the more reason to do what I'm talking about today. And that is get in front of the problems before they become catastrophes. I have in the past, I will freely admit, made mistakes. And sometimes I put things off too long because I don't want to confront problems, because I don't want to deal with issues. And what happens is a molehill becomes a mountain because you don't deal with it up front, because you're not getting in front of the problem before it becomes a real problem. What ends up happening is somebody ends up fired. Somebody ends up losing their job. Somebody ends up being sanctioned and having issues because you as a business owner didn't get in front of the problem to begin with. So my encouragement today, business owners, those of you who either have employees now or are looking at employees, need to remember this thing. And that is, if you have some spidey senses going off, right? That's the best way I can describe it. If the hair on the back of your neck is standing up a little bit and saying there is a potential problem here, okay, don't let the word potential get in the way of dealing with it, all right? And sometimes you can't be real specific. And I'll just be more descriptive here with today's meeting with one of my key employees. I basically sat her down and I said, hey, here's what you're doing good and here's what I'm really liking and I can't wait to move forward with this, but I have some concerns, and they are not things that I'm going to even, and I know this is unfair to you. I told her that. I said, I know this is unfair to you because you're going to want to know specifics. You're wanting to know who, what, when, and where. Okay. I'm not going to give that to you. I've found in the past that gets into a vicious cycle of justification and explaining and blaming, and it just is not, it's not beneficial for any party. And so what I said was, why don't we instead, can I just tell you that I have some spidey senses going off? There's some red flags in my mind. They may be unfounded, but the pure number of them is causing me to be concerned, and concerned enough that I felt like I needed to sit down and talk to you and say, hey, I've been auditing. Integrity is a big thing to me, huge. I don't care if you make mistakes, but integrity is a big, big thing to me. And so I'm just asking that we make sure that that's a priority moving forward. That's all I'm going to say. And she was good-hearted about it. I think it went well. The point is this. If I had waited, what I see is this issue that I brought up with her is getting more and more as time goes on. I felt like it's important to get out in front of it before it becomes a problem. I don't want to let her go. I don't want to sanction her. I don't want to end up in a problem that as a business owner, I feel like I'm not in the know and not understanding what's going on with my own business. And so if you make the choice to utilize the law of delegation, by the way, I highly recommend it. Remember that there's a responsibility that comes with that, and that's open communication with your employees. And even if you feel like there may be a problem, talk to them. Get out in front of the problems before they become catastrophes. We talked here earlier about the Go Create Some Value workshop. I would highly encourage that you get on theappraisercoach.com and use the coupon code podcast in your checkout, and you'll get a significant discount to that. Podcast is the coupon code. It's the Go Create Some Value workshop if you really want to know how to hire, how to manage, and more about some of the topics we've been talking about today. Thanks for joining me, folks. Catch you next time.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.
Test 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.